What's going on, everybody? It's Joe. As I'm sure any of you sports fans know, today was the NFL trade deadline. It was one of the greatest NFL trade deadlines I can remember at all. I one of the best, one of the most eventful. But you know who, sat the deadline out was the Green Bay Packers. Not a move to be made in sight. And this is kind of a running meme every year. The Packers don't make a move, but usually I don't care because usually I think the Packers are 8-1, 10-1, whatever it is at the time, and it's not a big deal. And we're contenders and we're a good team, but there's so many issues with this team this year, and to not do anything is just ridiculous. And I'm really not happy about it. I'm reining myself in so I can actually do a video instead of just yelling, but I'm not happy about this. And, everyone wants to talk about wide receiver. And for the longest time, I pushed back against that narrative. I really thought that the crew we had assembled was good enough that we could still compete, because going into this year, I expected the Packers to have a top 3 defense in the NFL. I thought that would be the heart of our team. I thought with the run offense of Jones and Dillon, Jones would go up a level as a receiving back, and I thought Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Sammy Watkins, and I guess Randall Cobb too, who's actually surpassed my expectations. All those guys, I thought they would be able to, kind of make the receiving room work with a 2-time back-to-back MVP quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP, back-to-back MVP the last 2 years. But the issue with the team is the defense is bad. It's not just not elite. It is bad. And there wasn't really any trades we could make defensively. But what we could have done, because what I saw in this Bills game this last week is that the offense, now that they're starting to get more chemistry together, some of these younger guys are starting to get the chemistry with Rodgers, now would be the time to make a move. I was against trading for any old receiver, but to me, 2 receivers were on the market who could really help this team. Brandin Cooks, he's proven he can do it anywhere. He's been a 1,000-yard receiver with 4 different teams, 4 different coaches, 4 different schemes. Doesn't matter where he is, he's going to be able to produce, and he'd be able to produce with Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. He is the one guy I really, really, really wanted. But some people raise concerns about salary. Well, I think we could have made it work nonetheless. We made a lot of things work under the cap, despite what people think. We've been able to adjust our cap on the fly many times before. But if Cooks was off the table, the other guy is Elijah Moore. It looks like the Jets were willing to trade him. He wants out. I think he's frustrated with his role. I think he's a little wrong about that. I think he's kind of overreacting to his situation there, but nonetheless, he had a really good rookie season. I think he's very talented, a first-round pick in 2021. So if the Jets were willing to trade him, which all indications, all reports say they were, that would have been another guy I would have wanted the Packers to go all in to try to get. The guy I'm okay we didn't get is Chase Claypool. The Bears traded a second-rounder for him, and they did report the Packers were in discussions to get Chase Claypool, but the Bears wound up giving a better offer, and people made fun of the Packers for that and saying, oh, look at that, the Packers, they were in discussions, but they didn't follow through again. I'm okay with that. I don't think Chase Claypool is worth a second-round pick. I wouldn't have done that, but I certainly would have done it for Cooks, and I think I would have done it for Moore too. I would have taken the gamble on his potential. I like what he showed as a rookie last year. I think going from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers would have helped him a lot, but instead the Packers don't make a move for receiver. Odell Beckham's still a free agent. People talk about that. I see no way he's coming here. If he's going to play this year, I think it's with the Rams or the Bills. I think that's the only teams. And maybe the Chiefs. But there's no reason for him to come to Green Bay. I don't care if him and Aaron Rodgers are friends. To me, that's just all hearsay. I don't know. They might like each other. They might, interact on social media from time to time, but I don't see why Odell would sign with the Packers, especially now that we're as bad as we are. But what really frustrates me about not making a trade here is that we're looking at this team. We're in win-now mode. We're paying a ton of money to a ton of guys. And I really like our GM, Brian Gutekunst. He gets flamed on Twitter a lot. But really, I've been pretty satisfied with his moves. It's just what he did with this defense. I was pro Davante Adams trade because he was going to leave either way. So we wound up getting 2 picks out of it. But if you look at what he did with those picks, we drafted 2 defensive players in the first round in Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. Neither of them have been good, and Devontae Wyatt has especially made pretty much no impact on the team. to me, and then we had the second-round pick we got from the Raiders. We used it to trade up to get Watson. To me, you could have taken Watson instead of Devontae Wyatt at the end of the first round. I like Watson. I'm not giving up on him, but he's been hurt a lot. You didn't need to draft Wyatt. You could have used that second rounder on a better player instead of trading it away to get Watson to move up. And ultimately, I think we didn't really get much for Devontae Adams because all we got was Quay Walker and I guess Christian Watson. That was the trade. So even though I think we needed to trade Devontae Adams, we didn't really get anything for him. It's not that the picks was the bad part. I was okay with the picks, but we missed on who we picked with those picks, at least so far. But this was supposed to be a team that competed for the Super Bowl. We are not contenders, and we didn't make a move to improve ourselves. I thought if we made a move, got a real number one wide receiver in here, that maybe the offense could carry us enough that we would win 9 or 10 games. Because the wide receiver group, if it's going to be as it is now, because we're already dealing with a lot of injuries, Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, all 4 of them have been dealing with injuries over the entire season. Christian Watson seems like he's made of glass. Like I hope he turns it around, but I love Dobbs. He's a great 4th-round pick, and he's only going to get better in the coming years as these reps now are going to help him be better in the coming years. But he can't be our wide receiver 1 now if we're going to make any sort of playoff run. So I have no anticipation for the Packers to turn this season around. It feels like a 7-10 type year. We'll get an okay draft pick, but you got so much money tied up in guys like Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones. You're in win now mode, and you don't make any type of move to improve the team at the deadline. I think the offense is trending in the right direction. We finally seemed in that second half of that Bills game that Matt LaFleur and Adam Stenavich finally remembered that you're allowed to run and pass. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can do both. They remembered that in the second half of the Bills game, and it showed. We started to come back. We started to play well. But you still need to upgrade the personnel on this team, especially with all the injuries, because the defense has been hard. And now Devondre Campbell, who was already underperforming, but he's still our best run-stopping linebacker. He's hurt now. Not sure for how long, but he's hurt. Eric Stokes took a huge step back in year 2. Rasul Douglas looks like he wasn't worth the contract. Darnell Savage looks pretty much like one of the worst starting safeties in the league, which sucks because a couple years ago he was a good pick. And Jair, they don't let him cover number 1 corners, and they blame it on Joe Barry's scheme. Well, maybe Joe Barry's just a bad defensive coordinator. He was, after all, the D coordinator of the 0-16 Lions, so it's very possible. I will say it about Joe Barry, defense was good last year, so I don't want to overly criticize him there. It's not all his fault, but I don't know. Maybe he's not as smart as we're led to believe. But outside of Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, the defense is underperformed. And the offense, I don't think it's underperformed. I think it's about performed at the level most would have expected. I was hoping it would overperform it, but it's been about where most people thought. But they could have added someone. I just think at this stage in Aaron Rodgers' career, with how we're spending our money this season, this is a team that's in win-now mode. We can't tank. I mean, one of my friends texted me, said he thought the Packers should be selling. We can't sell. There's no one to sell. We're not getting anything for anybody. So at that point, it's a lost season, and I don't know what they're doing, and it's just really bad. It's just really bad. I don't know. It all came collapsing down in one 6-month span, and people will blame the Adams trade, but there's a lot more to it than that. So Packers season pretty much over. Eagles fans out there, I hope we continue to own Dallas, help you guys out, and beat them in 2 weeks. But overall, this season it's tough. It's tough. Definitely one of the worst Packer seasons. I mean, this versus 2018. I mean, 2018 was bad, but I don't know. I remember thinking we had more of a chance. At this point in the season in 2018, I still thought we had a chance. I'm already out on this team now. So that's my Packers 9-minute talk. Yeah, I'm sad. So hopefully the Packers are good again one day, but it's not going to be this year.